Cricbuzz Chatter comes to you from wonderful Vishakhapatnam, from the great outdoors, on the back of a wonderful test match and a wonderful win. As it turned out, it finished in 4 days, and you might think, "Wow, the bowlers were on the ascendant," but I thought it had everything in it. Now, this man has been giving me a lot of grief about many things, but I think it's fair to say that of all the sweets we talked about, this performance today was the sweetest.
There's no better person to talk about sweets, and which is the sweetest of all. So I'm happy that you felt India's victory was the sweetest part of you being in Vishakhapatnam so far. But yes, to all Indian fans and to everybody watching, I think they'll be very happy with this win. Hard-earned win, Harsha. It didn't come
Yes.
easy. There was so much that they had to fight through in terms of they had to keep coming back with the bat, but most importantly with the ball. It was just a good victory, one that makes you realize why Test cricket is so special and so highly regarded by players, former, current, everyone else, only because it doesn't come to you easy. You have
You
to
know,
really
and
work for it.
I found something very interesting. DK and me were up front for the first commentary stint. Bumrah has bowled 1 over. Everything around fourth stump, maybe even fifth stump. And he asked the producer to show the entire first over again. Now that is something, because Bumrah was just playing with that line to Crawley. That's something you won't see in other formats. I'm not pulling down. Every format has its strength. We're going to see him play another format very shortly. But I just thought that whole setting up process, we saw two outstanding bowlers do that today. It was my view yesterday that strong minds would be needed on the last day. Not to belittle Akshar or Kuldeep, but I genuinely thought Ashwin and Bumrah, and I thought both delivered fantastic.
True. Over a period of time, if you just look at how Test cricket has panned out, the strongest survive. Mentally, physically, in all ways, you are tested. And you could see why Bumrah and Ashwin stood out on a day like this. Ashwin didn't get to bowl much in the first innings, didn't really bowl well either. But in the second innings, he made it count. When it mattered
Yeah.
most, picked up Ben Duckett's wicket last inning, gave that belief. And this morning as well, the way they just started things was just great to watch. As you said, I think Akshar and Kuldeep played a part as well, but it was Bumrah and Ashwin show more than anyone else in terms of how much Rohit trusted to keep bringing them back for the wickets.
So Ashwin is stuck on 499, right? And I say stuck only temporarily, because it's not that he's playing the last test
True.
match. I just messaged him. He said, "Don't worry, I'm in a phase in life. I'm very happy in life. I'm not chasing a landmark. It will come to me." But he got a little bit of help from Rohit Sharma at slip. We talked about the fielders taking 2 wickets. We talked to Dilip, the fielding coach, this morning as well. I thought the fielders did give you 2 wickets. I mean, Ashwin produced a fall shot, but still, that catch that Rohit Sharma took, Ollie Pope was looking dangerous,
Hmm.
and Shreyas Iyer in the field. I thought the fielding intensity was really good on day 4.
I, Perfect. And I say that only because it's very coincidental that you ask the question to the fielding coach, Mr. Dilip, whether in Test cricket you can still make it work
Yes.
with catches and run out and those magic moments, and will that impact the game? And it exactly happened today. Rohit Sharma's was a superb catch, and so was Shreyas Iyer. Yes, it was very casual and very ordinary running from Ben Stokes that aided it, but still for Shreyas Iyer to get that deceptive throw in at that speed,
Mm.
you need a certain amount of skill to do that as well, which was great to see. India did well in most facets. I thought bowling would be up there with the best. Fielding was outstanding throughout. If at all anything, the batting is the only area which probably didn't fire as much as they would like.
And we'll get there shortly. What I also found interesting, right at the start of play, Crawley is already out in the middle. Rehan Ahmed is already out in the middle, and India is not there. That huddle was about 2.5, 3 minutes long. You've been in huddles. I think Bumrah said something, but it was largely Rohit. Is he a speech giver, Rohit?
Yes, he is not someone who shies away from speaking. He will
Uh,
speak, not in all meetings though. I think he's someone who's says not too much. He does say a bit, but when he says
mm,
people are listening to him, he's earned the trust of his teammates. And whenever he speaks in the huddle, he makes sense, and he's speaking about a plan and the body language and what is required for us for that moment as we walk in and for the session to come by. And that is what we saw Rohit do, which was good. And it was great to see Bumrah. You even asked him the question in the post match: does he look at himself as the spearhead of this attack? And he said, obviously, he's being modest when he says, "No, I just look at myself as an important bowler." But you
yes.
can see he is the spearhead. I mean, for fast bowlers in India, he is leading the attack without a shadow of doubt. And it was so good to see him also be so involved in that huddle and say things which will mean, because when it comes on the bowler, you know he's going to have a massive impact on the game because he's going to do a lot of the bowling, and we saw that with the ball as well. But it was great to see Bumrah and Rohit. Also, most importantly, tells you how much today meant to them. We saw you were speaking about the huddle just before play, but also before the match started during warm-ups, there was a massive, not a huddle, but a massive meeting between the bowling unit and Rohit as well. So there was a lot of back and forth and talking going on as to what they expected. And I would like to think they got most things right with the ball today.
What did you think about getting Kuldeep that late? He stayed with Akshar for a while. I thought the moment Akshar turned one, got Rehan Ahmed, it might be his day. They took chances against Akshar because he wasn't turning the ball that much. But I got the feeling every over there was something happening that was tempting Rohit to give him one more. But would you have brought Kuldeep earlier?
At least a couple of overs earlier, for sure. A couple of overs from Akshay would have been reduced if I was the skipper. But I understand what Rohit did and exactly what you said. There was the odd ball which probably stopped on the batter, one that kept low and constantly gave Rohit the feeling that he'll pick that wicket, he'll pick that wicket. And interestingly, the wicket that he picked of Rehan Ahmed, that over before that he said enough, I think I need to go. But Akshay said, just give me one more over. They changed the field up, put long on back, pulled deep mid wicket in, told Rehan, you want to play a slog sweep, go for it. He went across the line to flick it, which was an even tougher shot, and ended up getting LBW. So it was good to see Akshar having the confidence to bowl. Rohit Sharma backing his bowler to say, I'm going to give it to you. But he could have still, I understand him giving a couple more overs, but he gave too many overs at that stage to Akshar. He could have brought Kuldeep early, but the moment Kuldeep came, he got the wicket.
What about that one? Were you on air when on the Crawley thing? Were you or were you not? I
No,
don't
I wasn't
remember
on
now.
air, no.
But we all saw it and we said, nah, it's going down the leg side. I just thought I'd explain to you. You have cameras that are sort of wicket to wicket that give you the trajectory that tell you whether it's hitting in line. The first replay that you see is from the spin vision camera that's a little further away because the wicket, it has to be either to the left or the right of the wicket to wicket camera. If it is to the left, it gives you an indication that the ball is sliding away. But in spite of that, when we saw the ball tracker, they said only turned 2 degrees. But I was a little surprised. I thought it's missing leg stump, but it didn't turn enough. Just kept going through.
So what does happen is when Kuldeep is bowling around the 80 km mark, then he gets a lot more turn, which means he's bowling slightly
Good
slower,
point.
gives more revs. But this one was around the 86 kilometers mark, so he's bowled it much flatter and faster, and hence the less degree of turn, which you just said, the 2 degrees, and that's why. On impact, we all felt that probably it's going, but it didn't do enough for it to be missing the stumps. I don't think we should really doubt the tracker. It
No,
is
I'm not.
definitely giving you proper information regards to where the ball. It's a projected projectile in many ways, just a projected feeling. Path, as you would say.
No,
But
I'm not doubting it. It's just that first trajectory, a lot of you watching that first trajectory also would have said, how come that's going and hitting the stumps? The reason is the first camera you see is from there. I think by then it was over. Then he talked about Stokes is running. Stokes was jogging initially until he realized, oops, hang on, there could be trouble. Then after that, there's a little partnership, but it was clear that the game was over. I found one thing interesting. We talk about Bazball, go and hit, express yourself. I actually asked Ben Stokes that question in the post-match presentation as well, because I thought Crawley played really well. He kept out the good balls, waited for the bad balls, judged length very well. Ollie Pope came in. I can understand bit jittery, didn't do that well in the first innings. What about Joe Root, man? I mean, you've seen Joe Root for such a long time. I have also. He's one of the modern greats. Does Joe Root have to go and slog? I'll tell you what Steve Harmison said to me when I was doing radio. He said, was it Steve Harmison or was it Darren Goff? One of them said to me that initially he got carried away by Bazball. And he realized that his style is a little different, became the Joe Root again, and that's when he started piling up the mountains. But we're surprised that
that surprise, though, I'll give you a little inside info. KP told me that Joe Root wasn't feeling his best,
Okay.
and hence the
Get as much
general
as you can
feel-
while you're
get-
in.
Exactly. If you're going to be tired and you're not feeling up to it, try and do the best that you can
Yeah.
in the time that you're there. And I can understand. I don't think we'll
Do you
be
think that
seeing-
was the reason?
I would like to
I
think
hope
that's
so.
the reason, because Joe Root playing a knock like that, he knows to get to 400, 3 boundaries is not going to make a difference. It's about playing time with the same intent. The intent is okay. I think people need to understand one thing. There is a difference between having intent and playing attacking cricket. I think when you have intent, it is I'm looking to score, I'm looking to put the bowler under pressure. That could mean good singles, a good defense, and putting in and showing intent would mean playing shots that are my strength. Playing attacking cricket will mean that I'm going to try and make or rather play audacious, risky shots. It is understandable you do that a lot more in white ball cricket. Bazball means the first one, playing with a lot of intent.
Yes.
If you need to absorb pressure at times, absorb it. And I think Ben Stokes is one of the biggest examples of Bazball, where he
Yeah.
comes and takes his time, and then when he gets going, he gets going. Crawley actually does it beautifully as well, where he takes time, and then when he gets going, he plays authentic cricket shots. Ben Duckett has modeled his game around the
Yes.
sweep and the reverse sweep, and hence I can understand that. Joe Root is of the traditional mold, but what he does when it comes to attacking intent would be playing the reverse sweeps, using the sweeps without thinking twice about the result. It is about expressing yourself without the fear of failure. That's what Bazball should mean and would mean.
So he said that.
Root
Sorry.
did
Yeah.
was a lot more attacking today, and it was high risk cricket. And he knows, I mean, Ashwin is a quality bowler. He's not going to give you too many that's going to be put away that easily. So did Root play a poor shot? I think so, for sure. But I do think there's a backstory behind it, which is important that we understand as
Yeah.
well.
And I hope that is indeed the story, because I have a lot of time for Joe Root. I mean, he scored a lot of runs against India, averaged 50 plus against India, and scored far too many. But it's always a joy watching him bat. So I hope that was indeed the reason. Ben Stokes is the interesting one. I think he plays Boyk's ball initially, Boyk's for boycott, and then suddenly goes into Ben Stokes' ball. But yeah, today it's running. But in any case, you know, I think for England to win this game, they needed to be about 250, 260 for three. Only then they had a chance. That didn't happen. So it's 1-1. That's very nice place for the series to be in. Both games have ended in 4 days, but both games have been a good contest. But we're not going to let the guy with the bright shirts go away so quickly. It's time to go in the hot spot. There's been a lot of talk about Rohit Sharma's leadership,
Mhm.
especially in Hyderabad. There was a feeling that he let things drift in
Correct.
Hyderabad. So there was greater focus on him here. What did you make of Rohit Sharma's captaincy? Also, remember, he's not scoring as many runs as he would like to. So what did you make of Rohit Sharma in this game?
I thought he was much, much, much better than what he did in Hyderabad in
Mm.
terms of captaincy, in terms of how he handled his players. At the end of the day, it's about having empathy towards players, but also making sure you get the best out of them, because he's got a job to do here. And I think in Hyderabad, at times, he was a bit lackadaisical with his approach, where he just sat back a lot of the times. I love people to do what they were comfortable with. In this game, I could see a lot of the times he was setting fields to bowlers and asking them to bowl what was required at that stage, at least what he thought, and he was making sure everybody was as much on their toes as it would be in a short duration game. And that is something that India need. We saw England how they hustle between the wickets. It comes a lot more naturally to them. India, their bowling rates are very slow because of how they walk in between, and in turn it reduces the energy and at times the buzz that is required to increase the momentum towards your favor. And I thought Rohit handled those smaller things really well. With regard to bowling changes, I did think a couple of times he did miss a trick, like bowling Mukesh Kumar in the second innings straight away. That was an area. Kuldeep being brought a little earlier. But these are things that can always be changed or handled, and they will. Even Ben Stokes has made plenty of mistakes in terms of at least you can't say plenty of mistakes. He's made changes where people have been like, oh, is that the right decision? And that's always debatable. It's relative. What Rohit thinks, obviously, with his leadership skills, is what we all should be okay with, because at the end of the day, he's the Indian captain, and we can understand those being debated, but definitely not the energy and the buzz required in Test cricket all 5 days when they are on the field.
Yeah.
That is something that is a non-negotiable, and that aspect of it, I thought he did much better. Is there room for improvement there? Yes, I think even in that, there is room for improvement.
I asked him about the batting in the post-match presentation. I said, do you want a little bit more from your batting? And I think he said, look, this team is very inexperienced playing this form of the game. I mean, you take out Virat Kohli. It's like taking Joe Root out of that England side, right? You take out Virat Kohli, it has an effect on your batting lineup. It has an effect on the way the opposition looks at you too. And taking Virat Kohli, a player like him, one of the greats of the game, out of the game is big. No KL Rahul. I know we're saying no Rishabh Pant as well from your first lineup. He's been out for a year and a bit, so that's okay. But straight away, you're taking two key batters out of the game, and that can have an impact. I'd like the middle order to provide a little bit more when you go into the next game, which is at Rajkot, where I'm told there'll be a track that's fairly similar to this. That is about 7-8 days away.
Mhm.
No, more than that. England are actually going off to Abu Dhabi. This England team talks about golf as much as it talks about cricket, but they're going away. Just relax the mind. They'll get good nets in Abu Dhabi. I'm sure they'll play golf. They'll come back to Rajkot. What can India do in Rajkot? For a start, I think KL Rahul is coming back.
Mm.
I want Mohammad Siraj might come back. He will by then have had about 2 weeks of rest. So he will come back. Not sure about Jadeja. Not sure about Kohli. I think they'll know about Kohli tomorrow. But what I found really good is even in the little bit of social media that I follow, not liking it follow a lot, little bit of social media that I follow, there's been no talk about why is Kohli not playing, whatever. I think everyone's respected his privacy at this time, and I think that is fantastic. So let's get that out. Let's assume there is no Virat Kohli. KL Rahul comes back, Siraj comes back, Jadeja won't come back, Kohli in limbo. What will you do in Rajkot?
Siraj comes in, he walks in straight into the 11, and we know who in place of Mukesh has to be the one who has to give place to.
Or will you still look at the track and play Washi and play only one seamer?
That is also a very, very good option.
Yeah.
The other thing is, how much cricket do you want Jasprit Bumrah to play? He's got a long, a few months ahead of him. There's 3 more test matches and then the IPL to follow soon after the World Cup. So at some stage, they got to understand what is the priority. I would think the 3 test matches is very, very big, playing against a top-notch England side. So it is a big question for him. Won't be surprised if he's given a break for a test match or 2 here and
Maybe
there.
fourth. He'll have some point time now.
Exactly.
So third, fourth follows very quickly after.
I think it's a decision that Jasprit Bumrah and his physio will be having in conjunction with the coaches and selectors of the current Indian team. So that's a big one.
Yeah.
Whether Jasprit Bumrah is gone, because he's bowled a lot. We have to understand he's bowled a lot as well in the last few months in South Africa, here, everywhere. That is a big decision. Washington Sundar, if it's going to be a pitch which aids spin, why not? For sure. If they go in with the one medium pacer, it could be Bumrah Siraj, one of them. And then we have the 4 fast spinners to follow. If it's not, even this test match, we saw the second medium pacer hardly had a role to play. So there is no point playing them and not using them enough. You might as well add in a Washington Sundar who will give you something with the ball and also a lot with the bat as well. So it's an option.
And Rahul comes in.
KL Rahul comes in. You have to think it has to be Rajat Patidar because he's the last one who got into the team, and hence Shreyas Iyer gets his opportunity again. So it's a tricky one. So I understand that there's going to be a few changes. I think the players will be aware of it as well, but there will be a few changes in the 11 for the next test, sure.
As I said, hopefully it'll be a good surface. Was this, I mean, I enjoyed watching the cricket on this pitch. I thought the curator produced a fantastic pitch. But would you have wanted by the 4th afternoon for the ball to be doing a little bit more? Was it almost too good for batting, or were you overall very happy with it?
Overall, happy with it, Harsha. I think in India for some time now, there's been pitches that have been polarizing, either very much in favor of the batter or very much in favor of the bowler. This had a bit for everyone, I thought. There's a bit for the batsmen if they put their minds to it, like what Shubman and Yashashvi showed us. There is also enough happening for the fast bowlers. We saw Bumrah and Jimmy Anderson use it. And as always, the spinners had a role to play in it as well. And at the end of the day, it got over in 4 days. I don't think there's too much to complain about, considering it's given us a real good test match. To replicate it will be hard. This is a pitch which has a lot of red soil beneath and just 1 inch of black soil. Whereas when we go to Rajkot, it's going to be a lot of red soil, and only red soil actually. So it will have a lot more bounce. Hence, the fast bowlers will have a role to play and the spinners will get bounce. But keeping everything into consideration, a pitch like Vizag won't do too much harm either.
Now, the next 7-8 days, he's going to go back to his different avatar. His nets, practice.
Yes, a little bit
Centre
of all
wicket
of that.
practice.
Keeping not so much, but batting, yes.
Yeah.
Though, I just one last question just felt like asking you. What have you enjoyed among the 4 deserts? Everybody wanted to know.
I'll tell you what happened today. Everyone sort of got along in this. So as soon as I went in today for lunch, just to check what there was, he came up to me and said, today, Alfonso mango ice cream తీసుకో చెన్నై కోసం. I brought Alfonso mango for you. కానీ మీరు చెప్పారు కదా, you told me before, I've kept some chocolate ice cream on the side for you. But as it turned out, immediately I had to go into a bit of radio. I came back here. The wicket started to fall. I had to get ready for the presentation. And I did not have any.
Oh my, that is...
My dragon fruit is waiting for me in the room.
That is a catastrophe. That is very sad. I feel bad for you. I do hope in the near future you're able to make up for the loss that you've had today.
No, but Visakhapatnam was fantastic, very helpful, lovely climate, lovely weather, good surface, good crowd. I think Visakhapatnam can lay claim to having more test matches as well in future. So that's it from Cricbuzz Chatter at the end of this game. He'll go back to play cricket. I'm going back, getting some time off, not doing the next 2 tests from the ground, and I will go to Dharamshala while he will be hard at work for RCB fans. Do you have a message for RCB fans? You're getting ready?
Yeah.
RCB fans are everywhere.
Fans, Absolutely. They know that the preparation is starting slowly but steadily. For me, a lot of the other players are already ready. We'll be assembling, I'm assuming, a couple of weeks before the tournament, but I'm doing it on a personal level right now in Bombay and Bangalore. So
You
really
do
looking
know,
forward to this.
you do know, don't you, that one of those Somali pirates that the Indian Navy captured was wearing an RCB shirt. You know that? See,
That's
RCB is everywhere.
absolutely. I think that's how popular the franchise is. Credit to all the fans. They have made this franchisee what we are today. They can be really proud of themselves. It's been Harsha and me this first two test matches. I think it's going to be Harsha. No, in fact, it's going to be myself
Only
and
you.
Michael Vaughan
Ah,
in the
okay.
next two test matches. So
Give him grief.
give
Give
him
him grief. Give him,
absolutely
we
looking
know
forward to
Michael
that.
well, yeah.
And we'll be coming back soon. Hopefully, the next two test matches are as good as the first two.
And I will be free to eat what I want without his eyes on me at home in Mumbai. Take care. Thanks for joining us on Cricbuzz Chatter.
Thank you.